Hello, everyone. This is Dare to Speak, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about the gang history of the Milwaukee chapter of the Spanish Cobras. Hello, everyone, again, and I'm doing this video on what I remember as much as I can remember because I was a very young kid. And this has to do with the late 70s street gang of the Spanish Cobras. And this is from what I remember back from 1978, 1979, 80, and 81, around that time. And even though I don't remember much about it, I did have, there's certain sources that I spoke to, people that grew up in that neighborhood, in the Milwaukee South Side. And there was, I'm not going to mention the names of these people, but they told me a lot about how the gang was back then and certain people that they knew, especially the ones that started the Milwaukee chapter. And these people were known as the Medina Brothers. Jaime Medina and William Medina. Some people call him Willie. And there was this person that I know that, according to her, is a female. She knew them, and she knew this other guy named. His last name was Santiago, who took over for, from what I believe, if I remember correctly, who took over for Richard Medina after he got killed in 1979. And of course, I heard a bunch of bad things about these guys. They were like, they were feared by a lot of people during that time in the late 70s. And before they went to prison, like I said, in South Division High School, people that knew them, from what I heard from another guy, this one guy, he says, yeah, I heard about the Medina Brothers. They were like, a lot of people feared them, and not that many people wanted to mess with them. And the gang themselves were very large. He never got into how big they are in numbers and how big they were in numbers. And I just got a few pictures, and one is of Richard Medina, which I'm going to show you right now. This is Richard Medina, aka King Cobra. This picture was most likely taken Who knows? Probably like in 77, 78. Who knows? Don't know exactly. But from what I heard from this one source, that the Medina brothers, from what I understand, they were greatly feared in the south side neighborhood of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in which they opened up a chapter. And as much as I can remember, and also from what this person told me, an incident happened over on Mitchell Street in which she was talking with William Medina and some relatives of hers. I think it was like a couple of her brothers. And they knew just about all the Spanish Cobras during that time. She didn't really care for them. She didn't care for street thugs in general. There was this one kid, a white kid, that just came passing by while they were talking. And he made the mistake of making eye contact with William Medina. So he got angry with the attitude of, "What the fuck are you looking at?" And then he basically grabbed him and slammed him against the glass window of the store over on Mitchell Street, which was on, from what she told me, was 13th and Mitchell, some store. He slammed him against the glass window, put his forearm against his throat, pressing up against it, saying, "The fuck are you looking at? What the fuck's your problem?" And the kid was just traumatized. So much to the point he didn't know what to say. And the main reason why he was looking at him strangely was because he was doing the same thing. It's one of those kind of stupid things that people do. She blew her top and she grabbed William Medina and slammed him against the glass window and did the same thing to him, putting her forearm against his throat, yelling at him, saying, "How do you like it? How do you like it, motherfucker? You like to push people around, don't you? What the fuck's wrong with you?" At that point, he was yelling at one of her brothers, saying, "Yo, man, you better check your sister." They're trying to get her off of him, knowing the fight was going to break out. She told the kid to run away. She said, "Go, get out of here. You didn't do anything wrong. Just go." Still traumatized, the little white kid, about maybe, I don't know, 15 or 16 years old. He just continued, he just got the hell out of there. He just ran. A big argument happened there. All she really had was how much of loathing and hate she had for these guys. She didn't care too much for William Medina, Jaime Medina, but she never met Richard. And not to cause any kind of hurt feelings or anything like that, but this is just what I heard from one source. And again, I can't say who this person is. But to tell you the truth, the Spanish Cobras, when they first started in 1953, back then they were called the Crazy Snakes. They weren't exactly bad guys or punks. They were bullied and discriminated against by white greasers, white greaser gangs, and other types of people who weren't really too fond of having Puerto Ricans in the neighborhood. So because of that, they went through a lot of bullshit. being harassed, being bullied, and some were even beat up on the street, some Puerto Rican kids. To protect themselves, a lot of Puerto Rican kids banded together and called themselves the Crazy Snakes. They pretty much protected each other, had each other's backs, fought against the white greaser gangs, and protected the black from bullies. The name changed in 1960 from the Crazy Snakes to their new name, Spanish Cobras. The colors were green and black. He had enemies back then, the insane unknowns, which emerged somewhere in the late 70s, possibly mid-70s. It was over the years, I guess from the 1960s, where they slowly degenerated into a criminal type of street gang. Typical street gangs you know of today. But learning about the history of them is very important, because they weren't always troublemakers. They weren't always thugs. At least not the original ones. In situations where you're getting bullied and harassed and having to go through so much racism, you have no choice but to band together, form your own clique, and protect each other. So it's totally understandable. It's just very sad that over the years, they became what brainwashed society sees them as. Just like the Latin Kings and other gangs, the Maniac Latin Disciples and so on. How they started off as a social club. How they started off as just their own clique to protect themselves. Slowly over the years, as new generations of people joined, generation after generation of just basically people that were big-time troublemakers. Of course, it's not really their own fault. A lot of these kids are just victims of a harsh environment, unsavory environment of the inner city ghettos. And this is just the end result of it. Again, I had to show those pictures just to explain something and to prove a point. I'm not trying to show any hard feelings towards anybody. I mean, bad things happen. And, people talk about certain people. And I don't judge. I don't pick sides. I just hear people out. And from what I heard about these guys, and I think one of them, I believe William Medina, is dead. He died sometime later. I forgot when, but he's dead. I just feel bad for anyone who has to go through that kind of thing. Being victimized and then becoming, building up a bad reputation. But this is what I found out from what I heard from certain sources. Again, I cannot mention these people's names. So if you have any questions, any comments, just be, if you really want to know, just drop any comments and things like that. So to all of you, take care.